Hi, welcome to day 19 of the 21 Day Family Connections experiment. We are very excited because we saved one of our favorite interviews, the best for last, right? We are here today with Aaron Johnson from the company Shopbox. Now, Aaron has been working in the scrapbooking industry, the font industry, the memory keeping industry for many, many years. And he makes our lives as family historians and photographers so much easier. So we are going to welcome him in just a moment. While you are watching, please tell us where you are from. Tell us how you are connecting. And if you have any questions for Aaron or Shopbox, go ahead and put them in the comments and we will ask him. So now let's welcome Aaron into our broadcast.
Hello.
Hi.
Good Monday morning.
Yes.
I love Mondays.
Yes.
Mondays are good.
Yes. This is a good way to start our week, I think. I'm excited. I've been looking forward to this interview. So we gave the briefest of bios. How about you tell us a little bit more about yourself and even about your family?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Believe it or not, I actually have 5 grandchildren and one on the way. And so that is the greatest payoff in life. It's the greatest reward. So we spend a lot of time. They all live close. So if there was anything about me that I cherish and value the most out of life, it is family, not just my own children, but now the added bonus of expanding that a little bit. And I have 4 children of my own, 3 girls and a daughter. So, or three girls and 1 boy. So get that right.
Yeah, awesome.
So that really kind of drives me is the core piece. I've also always had an extremely passionate tie to the past, to history in general, but specifically, obviously, our family history, the stories and the materials behind it. I've never gotten really into the details of genealogy. I've never researched things. I kind of totally, ride the coattails of those that do and enjoy their work. But I feel that my work has been on preservation and capture of things that are otherwise really going to be lost. I really feel passionate. I feel there's a very limited time frame and a call to arms that we need before the materials of this world, that really come down into the nooks and crannies of each home that have yet to be scanned, yet to be digitized, yet to be backed up. And it's alarming to me because I think the majority of homes still have something. It could be a box of something. It could be a room full of something. But time is running out. So that's driven me. The past, of course, you mentioned the scrapbook industry. Yes. Memories in general is something that I've always been involved with, and the creative side of that.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. I love what you said. We're dealing with a limited commodity here, and we all have pieces of somebody else's family history. Like I have a trunk and boxes just sitting upstairs that need to be digitized. And so I'm excited there are people like you in this industry who can make our lives so much easier. And so tell us a little bit about Shopbox and how Shopbox came to be.
I'd had the idea brewing for quite some time that we take cameras and actually use cameras to scan. And the problem with way back when, 10, 15 years ago, when I'm kind of using DSLRs and different setups to do that, I never wanted to get in the camera business, the moving and in a very, very big business to try to participate in. So it kind of took an evolution of smartphones and cameras that we've already gotten, in our pockets and purses that we could take advantage of. The big boys use cameras, the Family Search, Ancestry, MyHeritage. When they're going into really big repositories of records, they use cameras, more than not. You push a button to take a picture versus, making a light bar go back and forth. And I always have felt that there should be a DIY home solution to that. And as soon as cameras started to get to the 8 megapixel on our phones, right, the smartphones,
Yeah.
especially the 12 and beyond, it really becomes competitive to a typical scanner on a laptop or a computer. But a ShotBox, making it portable, making it easy to set up, making it smart because you're going to a smart device already, it accelerates that process greatly. In some ways, 10 to 15 times faster than the traditional scanning setup, especially with bound books. To me, that represents the biggest problem is the things that are bound, that are in journals or some level of, stitch, that there's very few services that you can just put in a box and send away, and have those done. Much less doing that, right? My journals, I wouldn't ever let out of my sight, to a degree. So,
right.
So I felt there is always a need to approach those items. And there's an estimated about 800 million journals, bound books, albums, scrapbooks in the US alone that really are at risk. They're sitting on shelves. They're not shareable. They're not, much less backed up and safe. So there's a, ability to duplicate and go back to print if you wanted to. So that is kind of my whole, challenge, or the mountain that I want to help people climb. And it's daunting because the time involved to scan everything we've collected over years, or to your point, that we've inherited and keep piling up. I have a couple generations of stuff that I'm still working on, but I have a lot of it, and I've used my ShotBox extensively, which is so fun and exciting. You go through those memories and those stories, and you kind of slow down sometimes because you're enjoying it. More than getting it done, right? You got to get it done. But at the same time, you want to enjoy the journey.
That's true. And you said like a really important word for me. It was kind of a key word for me. I love that you said it's portable. Like I fly out to visit my great aunt in Georgia, and she's our family historian, and she has worked for 60 plus years, and she's done amazing work. But like you said, it's in binders and books and scrapbooks. And I'm like, wait, I can just toss the ShotBox in my suitcase and take it with me. I love that. So that I'm very excited about that because I've spent hours scanning. So we talked about and why are you so passionate about this? You said we're kind of on a limited time. Not everybody is as excited about family heirlooms. Tell us a little bit more about your passion for that.
Well, yeah, I think it's always kind of built in, but I think it's the timing of our lives. It's when things, death or birth happens, and maybe weddings, right? When we become really reflective and we look back more, or, we look at the future, but we sort of connect to the past and present a little bit more. And I think I've always had an interest in, maybe it started with an incredible family around me. I really had a nurturing and loving family, and really close to my grandparents. Played and tagged along with them as their little tag along, and any chance we had, we would spend time with them. And I think that bonded me to the past, in that, and they were a coal mining family, and kind of going out into, and they lived in Hiawatha, Utah, which is a ghost town now, but it was an old mining town, and it was so Americana with just the kind of the old fashioned stuff. And we'd go to the town store, and it was just that typical, almost, our modern day Little House on the Prairie. So that bonded me to the past so much. And then it carried forward. I don't really know why my occupation and my career kind of pushed into the scrapbooking industry, other than I think I love the tie-ins, the pictures, the photos, the stories.
Mm-hmm. It's really the heart of family history. I mean, the research is fun, but it's these stories and pictures that really make it come to life. And where is Hiawatha? I'm Utah born and raised, and I do not know where Hiawatha is. Where is Hiawatha?
It's 9 miles south of Price, so Carbon County.
Okay.
If you've heard of Castle Dale, maybe, but Price and Helper, and you just keep going south. Kind of out in the middle of nowhere.
All right.
And there's a bunch of those old mining towns out there that found mines, and it was a one of the first industries of Utah that established, full communities and cities.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I have been to Helper and to their museum. I think they probably need a shot box because they have so much history packed into those little museums. But I know exactly what you mean. It is very Americana in those mining towns. Now I know where Hiawatha is. Yep. That's fantastic. So as we're documenting all of these pictures and stories, what are common pain points people have, and how does the Shotbox help us work faster and more efficient and better quality?
Well, that's the first question to answer is the problem point or the pain points, right? Speed is one. There's journals that I've taken and scanned traditionally, and they take 4 or 5 or 6 hours depending upon the size. Yet I can take them into a Shotbox and do them in an hour to an hour and a half and be done. So there's just the mountain I mentioned to climb when you deal with, I did one a day and that was a full day, versus being able to do 3, 4, or 5. And the truth is, scanning and digitizing is kind of a necessary evil. If we look at it that way, it's a one-time thing. To a degree, you get it done and you can enjoy it and have peace of mind from there. So in a lot of ways, it's just kind of a roll up your sleeve and get it done standpoint. And all those services that you can throw things in a box and those are good if you have the money for them. And you also have those pieces and parts that you just want to get done without having to worry about it so much. But those services like Legacy Box, they do great with things that they can do, but they don't do bound books. They don't do those journals and albums again. They do loose photos and media, film, that kind of thing. But so I feel like there's one hole in all of this, which is really being underserved, and that is the bound materials. I keep coming back to that, but it's a big deal. If you use a scanner, you're turning it over and you're putting it down on the scanner, and the light bar goes back and forth, and you lift it up and turn a page and put it back down. Whereas in a Shotbox, you can simply, set it up so you have balanced lighting, you have your camera, and you turn a page, take a picture, turn a page, take a picture. And it's just so much faster and easier. So those are the things that really, going back to your question, that pain point of time, that pain point of setup, the pain point of portability, which you mentioned, you can put this on your shoulder and go anywhere and, plug it in, set it up within literally under a minute, and you're going, right? And there's so much memory and heirlooms and items and objects as well that the Shotbox can take top-down photos, right? But also front-end photos, which means object photography for those heirlooms and capture a memory of everything.
Okay. Ah, that's fantastic. So, like, for example, every Christmas, I spend Christmas with my mom and my grandparents, and I try to digitize part of my grandpa's giant closet of photos, and he has so many scrapbooks and things that my grandmother has done. So instead of like walking around the house and finding the best light, I can just set up the Shotbox and just flip the page and push click, and that sounds so much easier than what I've been doing. That's fantastic. I am really excited to get my own hands on some. I like what you mentioned about scrapbookers. Like, this is perfect for all those bound scrapbooks. And so we've talked a lot about like the memories, like preserving our memories. Since we're in the middle of this crazy 2020 year, how have you seen families kind of thinking outside of the box for their Shotbox? We know we can use it for preserving memories. What are some other ways that people are using their Shotboxes?
Well, I think it's to me, it's a trigger, right? It's a system which helps somebody start that ball rolling. So obviously, I think it can be used as, kind of an icebreaker to family activities, to an accessory to those kind of things. For instance, cooking, right? So we want to kind of create our family recipes. We want to cook something and bake it. As a family, just, have the kids or just throw it into a Shotbox and take a quick shot. And now you're preserving something that becomes, a heritage item and a culture of that family. And so I actually like the rally around that kind of activity for a family, that it acts as a help to get things rolling and or just sustain interest. So it also isn't just about the box, right? You kind of mentioned that, think outside the box. The truth is the shot box starts something that needs more in the next step. So we take more photos, right? We take pictures and pictures, and now we just have kind of more of a digital mess. And what do we do with those? How do we organize those files? What kind of best practices do we have? And that's why the Shotbox is you know, the full name of the Shotbox is the Memories Preservation System, and the Shotbox itself is just the first tool, right? Mm-hmm. And then it's a matter of what to do next and how to make sure they're preserved correctly. Where do they go? And there's a lot of technology out there, and there's pros and cons of it all. And so part of our system is to help people navigate and to get to that peace of mind that things are where they should be, they can be found, and they have longevity. And that's kind of hard. In fact, that's a little bit more messy and a little bit more broad and vague than just taking the photos in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love it. It's the first step into getting everything going. That's so good. I was kind of poking around your website, and I was excited with some of the other ideas for using a Shotbox. Mm-hmm. Like I think someone mentioned one of their kids doing, stop animation with the Shotbox as well. I'm like, I don't know if I'd be able to get it back from my kids. And I think that's so fun. I'm homeschooling a 9-year-old right now, and I'm like, oh, he could do his own. He could do his own animation. And I had a cousin that mentioned she has an Etsy crochet business, and she's like, I've got to get one for that. And so I love that we can preserve our memories and homeschool and do our side hustles, all of these. Let's see. Oh, and so how can we also use the Shotbox for preserving our current memories? You mentioned like the recipes. Are there other examples of ways people have preserved like what's going on in their life right now with the Shotbox?
That's so relevant because so much of preserving our past is just doing it while we go, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not a catch-up thing. I call it kind of the someday syndrome. If we have so much stuff piled up behind us, we always say, oh, someday, right? We're just too busy. We just get too busy. So I really do think the idea that a Shotbox is set up and accessible, we have actually 2 set up in our home. I mean, obviously my daughter uses it for her artwork that she constantly is drawing and sketching and fan art. She loves it. She wants a quick photo to send off to her friends, on different platforms. And so she just jumps in and takes a picture on a Shotbox. We have one in our kitchen, for things like that. My wife uses it to take pictures of things as, the food, of course, but we also use it for business, right? If I need a fax, if I need something that is a document in my office, I go to my Shotbox to do it. And so there's a variety of purposes there. But it's also, you mentioned this, we actually just got into Michaels this fall, and it's doing very well. They're very pleased with it. And, it presented there into Michaels, it's a creative tool. It's creative photography. It's the first time there's ever been introduced in that craft space, like Michaels or Joann or Hobby Lobby. We gave Michaels a 6-month exclusive, so we can't sell it anywhere else yet. But, it approaches it from that aspect of the Etsys and the eBays and the Pinterests, where you just have a creative tool to take advantage of a camera. That's kind of new. That hasn't been done before. Mm-hmm. And I think when you do that, all of that is relevant to collect. We don't want Facebook to be our cloud storage of archiving, right? That's not going to be the way it works. But I think there's an element of making sure that you get stuff along the way, whether it be a kid's project or even, fridge art, right? We mentioned that. And so all of that kind of comes in to say, make it a part of your process and your daily side of things. And then it just grows as you go forward.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that. And as you were talking, Michelle commented that it would help lower the art clutter. All those darling art projects.
It's hard to throw things away. I mean, it is.
Yeah. Yes, it's so true.
If they're preserved, then you feel okay about it. Or if they're lost,
Yeah. No, ours, it's hung on the fridge, and then it kind of just goes up on top of the fridge to die and get all dusty. So this would be so much better to take the picture and get it digitized. So I love that. That's awesome. Oh, and Michelle said it's a great tool for food bloggers.
It is.
That's true.
We've done that quite a bit. We started out on Kickstarter, and we did 2
Okay.
campaigns and did very well. And that was kind of a little bit more of that audience, the broad audience that's using for foodies and blogging, and obviously the Pinterest world, definitely.
Yeah, so fun. We've talked about recipes. We've talked about pictures. I think it's really cool that you can put family heirlooms in them, like the size. It's big enough for some of the family heirlooms. We learned about a cool tool like with Google Lens. It'll help you identify your family heirlooms. You can totally do that with the shop box. So during in the lifespan of the shop box, what are some of the more like unique items you've seen placed in the shop box?
I had a blogger that did reptiles, so anything small enough. There's reptiles that are pretty big, but he would take photos of, his snakes and his lizards and turtles,
Oh my gosh.
And he used it. I think he was reselling. They had a pet store online, and so that was awesome. That was fun to see that, and a little bit sometimes a video, where you kind of have it contained. So that was a lot of fun.
That's fantastic.
Also, I love to see the kind of the collectibles. We had a guy that did actually kind of science fiction figurines that he would sculpt. So he had like Predator, and some Alien, I think. And so when those came back and they were really good, it's like, oh, well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But he's an active user that takes photos of his hobbies that are kind of fun and extreme. I had somebody in the very beginnings like, I'm going to use this for my bug collection, So it's we put on a photographer's hat, and the shop box represents this little mini stage, right? And just like a photographer in the real world that's worrying about light and background and setup, it just takes it down to a very small scale, and we help create that really, really fast on that stage.
Yeah, oh, that's fantastic. I love that. So from, lizards to the Predator, we had, let's see, Sandra, she said, I used it to photograph my keychain collection.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. I love that.
And part of the accessories is we created prints, and they're textures and prints of things like brick or even grass, or, just very creative in the backdrops. So when you set up the objects there, you can kind of create a glamour shot. You can put rocks in it. You can kind of create a scene, but then the backdrops kind of make it look photorealistic without obviously having to go through a whole lot of trouble. So things like the key collections and even oils and things like that on a, maybe a small business side, make it so much more. And we know that photos sell better, good photos. We know that they matter. And we're so, used to great photos that to create professional so easily at home is really one of the strengths as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Camille kind of just spoke to that too. I'm going to pop hers up. She said, I love that it helps with getting lighting correct. I feel like that's like one of the huge pain points for me is trying to get lighting good. So she says she struggles with that. So this is perfect. So we've kind of talked about like lighting, backdrops. How user-friendly would you say the shop box is? Like, it sounds like I could just dive in and do it, right? Is it pretty user-friendly?
Within minutes. It literally takes seconds to set up. It pops right up. You put support legs on it, and then you plug it in. And I will say that there's kind of 4 elements of a good photo. And I write about this too, but light is one, of a good photography. Photographers are always having to either fight or control light. The next is hardware. So you're talking about your camera. So a good photo requires a good enough camera. And in this case, like we mentioned, anything recent on a smartphone is well good enough. The third is software. So we have to have some knowledge of what software we're using, whether that be on a DSLR, which is easily you can use that easily on a shop box. But, the software is what app you're using. If you're going to do a book, for instance, and scan something bound, you want to use a scanner app, which creates a PDF file as it goes, not just individual JPEGs or photos. But if you're doing memorabilia or one-offs, then you kind of use a camera. Just the default one on your smartphone works great now. And then the fourth is the user, is us, right? Our general knowledge of setting it up right and doing it. And once that's learned, there's a little bit of learning curve. There's adjustments to depending upon your phone and your software and white balance and auto balance stuff that happens. And the user needs a little bit of experience with that. And that's what we try to do, educate as well. But you blend all that together, and where it's set up in a system, it is easy. It is fast. It is fun because you see results really quick. And if, they're not quite what you want, then you adjust a little bit. And if you get stuck, we're here, right? And sometimes there are some tricky things that you want to kind of get a result out of, and you might need a little bit of help.
That's awesome. Camille had another question. She said, what exactly comes with the shot box? Like, we talked about the backgrounds, I think, right. And what comes with it. Yeah,
and if you go to shotbox.me, shotbox.me, so shotbox.me, you'll kind of see the layout. Yep, that's the one. And the lights are all self-contained. In fact, I'm going to kind of move this a little bit. I don't know if you can see it. I have one set up right here. And so you can kind of see where I have it really dim because there's a dimmer. But if I turn that up, it's going to kind of blind us, a little bit like this, if you see that. But, you kind of have light control in this. And I have set up this infinity backdrop. There's 4 colors of those that come with it: white, black, blue, and green. And then these are actually little sandals from Japan that my brother brought back. I was 10 at the time, and he'd gone there on a mission. So he brought those back. They're horribly small for me, but they're fun. I collected them through the years, so that represents a memory. So it comes with, of course, the self-containment. The lighting is up inside. There's a platform, and I could probably grab one here in my office, but that hangs on the front, and it provides additional lighting. It's called the side shot. It's also a platform that you could put your smartphone there, keep it stationary, and then you can work with your hands in the box a little bit more. You don't have to worry about the setup as much when you're just doing processing. It also comes with a nice neoprene, water-resistant, soft cushion bag that it can go in. And it's durable. It makes it really easy and to pack and carry. So that's the core basic bundle right now, where we actually have a supply of little shutter release cables, which means you plug them into your phone, and it's a cord. I should have prepared a little bit better. I have them here in my office, but I'm not seeing one real quick. But that's actually a way that you leave your phone set up on the box, and you can have a cable tether to it and press the button to actually take the photo itself. So right now, and then those backdrops we mentioned, there's 12 backdrops, a variety of textures and colors and that sort of thing. That's in the full system bundle. That's what we 9 times out of 10, just get the whole thing and have all the tools.
Yeah, well, that's exciting. I'm so excited about that. I was watching, and we'll have to put the link in here. I was watching the How To Live last week with Olivia when she pulled out her shot blocks. Like, she has it built right into her cabinet. Like, that's what sealed the deal for me. I'm like, I need one of those. That's so fun. It's just,
she's always been our greatest champion. And I will say a plug. I'm not really a great closing salesman, but if you use Aaron20, AARON 20 on the website, you get $20 off the bundle. So that, or there is Connections 20 as well, kind of reflecting this experiment that we're doing here. So Connections 20 or Aaron 20, you can use either. You get $20 off the bundle.
Oh, fantastic!
That's my sales pitch. Yes,
I know. I've been hearing people say that's what I want for Christmas, and usually I'm like, oh, I want like a nap for Christmas. And this year I was like, no, I need the shot box.
It is a great gift. It's a great gift. I will say that.
I might have to have it come early.
Well, they're available, so
I don't know if I can wait that long. It's so fun. What advice would you give to someone who's just barely starting out on this preservation journey?
Well, the first step, I kind of keep coming back to it. It is the capture. We tend to kind of overlook that, or we just assume it was done. So much great sites, great software, great websites and whatnot. They upload your photo, and I've always thought, well, wonder if it's not uploadable. And really, it starts with that. And I think what I would say is the tools now that we have, everything from those 4 things I mentioned, but starting with light control, it's just doable. We're at home more. We have some vacations coming up. Why not get the family together for an activity? If you're a grandparent, it's a great way to engage the kids that are usually on their phones anyway, doing other things. And I think that's the first process start, bring them in, invite them, grab a book off the shelf or some memory box, and just start using that and record it, do the audio as well while you're doing it. So I believe it's a great icebreaker to doing things as a family as well. And it, like I said, learning curve of maybe 15 or 20 minutes, right? So you can really get up and going fast. The first step there, and even that's kind of fun to just play around and experiment, get a little bit better with your phone and your camera there on your what tools you already have. But that's what I'd say. We have opportunities now, and we have opportunities to get off this kind of crazy path that the world is pulling us into, of course, and all the stuff going on with the pandemic and politics and all that kind of stuff. Kind of shift into different gear, get off the path, go somewhere quiet and satisfying and fun and fulfilling, and spend some time there.
Mm-hmm. I think that's fantastic. And I like that you said it was something you can do with your family. If you're able to meet for Thanksgiving or Christmas, this is a fantastic time. Like, I know, like, my grandma had all these necklaces. Like, I would have loved to, I can still put them in there, but I don't have her stories now that she's gone. And so I think that is such a great idea to be photographing them and having the stories going at the same time. And I love what you said too. Oh, and record them. Yeah. And if your kids and grandkids are there, I bet the learning curve might be even shorter because you can all learn how to do it together.
I don't know. It's like, how do you know that? Well, yeah.
I was like, sometimes my daughter does a little bit better at the electronic stuff than I do. So let's see if we missed any questions. I think we got all these good questions. Oh, someone said, I wish you shipped to Canada, but I know we have Matt from your company on, and he is happy to make arrangements. So,
and it's a little bit, we actually opened that up on the shopping cart. International shipping has always been trouble. There's so many things that can go wrong, and we can't support it very well. So Canada is however one. For some reason, the shipping rates really dropped about 6-7 months ago. So you can order. Canada is in the shopping cart. The only thing we don't do is do free shipping to Canada. We do free shipping to the 48 states, but not there. So, but it costs about $40, give or take, to get to Canada. It used to be more. So we reopened it. The border seems to be a little bit friendlier. So so it is available. But please, if you do have questions, call us and text us for sure, or email us for sure. I see that note.
Yeah, and Monica's excited about that. She's like, "This is fabulous," which is so true. Well, I just love everything that I've learned about the Shopbox and your background in this industry. As some of our final questions, how has going through this process with this company and preserving your own memories, how has this strengthened and helped your own family?
I use the example so much of a journal from my mom, 1945. She's age 16. And again, it's usually right around here, and I think I cleaned up a little too much. But if you can imagine, it's a daily journal that a secret sister gave her. And she write, every single day in pencil, so it's fading, and it's a monumental year, and it's priceless to us. And I found that in one of the boxes when early on with Shopbox, and I've used that to kind of carry her forward. She passed away of colon cancer in 2000. So to me, that is alarming if we lose it. And I don't want my kids or my grandkids or even my aunts and uncles and cousins. She was very beloved. I mean, she was kind of a saint. And so it worries me that every home has one. Every family has these endeared ancestors. And it makes me sad if we lose those things. And that really is what pushes me and incentivizes me. So if you're looking at those benefits, my nieces have read that, right? I have my kids that have read that journal and preserved. We uploaded it. It's on Family Search, so it's available. And that's just one representation of what this can do. I think it's exactly what you guys are doing with the Connections Experiment. 21 days of connecting with family history in the past and the stories, and how that lifts and empowers and inspires and helps us sometimes get out of kind of a funk or some, even depression that we're in. That's the power of this. And the benefit of Shopbox is you have those things preserved, but maybe the first benefit is that they prompt our connection to it, any age, any level, any family.
I was just thinking, I'm like, I think I might need to do another experiment, like 21 days of just preserving memories of getting through my trunk of pictures. I think that's wonderful with your grandmother's 16-year, when she was 16 years old. That's priceless. And I'm just thinking, I'm sure there's plenty other penciled things out there that we need to get in digitized before they're gone.
Sorry.
What's that? Oh, go ahead.
A good friend of mine actually scans or he uses the Shopbox to take pictures of his scriptures, because there's so much notes that he has in there and in little memos. And he goes, I want my kids to know what I was thinking when I, read scripture, and even those kind of things. I go, wow, that's kind of really cool. I never thought of that. And then he showed me that he just has taken a lot of his scriptures. So that's another example. But I do notice on the comments, I'm going to jump in. It does say, do you ship free to Alaska? What we would do with anywhere else, as far as non-48 states, because Alaska is depending upon where it is, it can get kind of expensive, but we can credit at least, we kind of have a budget of $15 to $20 for shipping. It's not cheap, but we could credit that towards whatever. Alaska or Hawaii is also one that can get very expensive. And so, we can use a credit towards that. And then the difference, we can find out what it is and then, charge the extra. So we definitely want to help people get it. We're worried about next year Roots Tech. So many people around the globe, and it's already at 160 countries. We're going, well, how do we serve the world and try to do that? So we're trying to think of some ideas for that as well. Yeah. But we're worried about that. We want people to get it.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited. I can be scanning like as I'm watching, or not scanning, taking photos as I'm watching Roots Tech next year.
Exactly.
That sounds like a good way to use my time. Very cool. Oh, Camille says, yes, let's do 21 days of preservation.
Absolutely.
That'll be fun. We'll have to think about that for next year. I want to make sure we covered everything. Is there anything else you'd like to add that we haven't spoken about? I know I've been inspired and I want to get started. What else would you like to add?
I guess I've kind of said so many things, but I feel it's a very personal thing. I think the only real way we're going to kind of, I guess, change or improve the world is, ourselves first. We have to kind of go inward, find some strength, find something there, and then that kind of ripples out. I kind of have a saying I like is that, a knowledge of the past brings understanding to the present and hope to the future. Mm-hmm. And I think knowing those stories, knowing why and how something happened, gives us a perspective that maybe is more forgiving, right? If some, and to know the inspirational stories of our past and a grandparent or even beyond, knowing what they went through and how they overcame it, and that does nothing but good for us, right? It connects us to their story, and they're speaking, from the grave. And urging us on. And I think that is the power of understanding and knowing our past and those stories within it.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Now we can bring new life to their stories and share them with our own loved ones. That's fantastic. So I have one final question that we've been asking all our interviewees, and it's how have you been connecting with your family during 2020? What's been your favorite way to connect?
Obviously everything we've talked about, but We've really been active with our grandkids as well. Obviously there's some restrictions, but I have to admit, when it comes to family at home, we pretty much open the doors. But they've gotten this point of drawing, and so they're constantly looking for paper and pens, and we range from age 1 to 7, and I collect all that stuff. It's like they throw it around the table, and I gather it all up, and so it kind of goes back to that, don't miss a moment. And, I think it's also a time to reflect in all the messiness. Our family, we talk about, well, where are the blessings of this? And we have spent more time together. We've spent more morning time together. My relationship with each and every one of them and my wife has improved. And it's because those are things that we can control. And I think we can take advantage of it.
Yeah, I love that. I like that there's been some silver lining to this crazy year. Well, looks like we had one more question pop up from Sandra. I want to make sure we get. She says, is there a great app for using Shotbox on an Android that is fast and easy?
Yeah, it depends on what you're shooting. If you're just doing photos or object photography, your default camera is really good. Samsung or Google, right? Google Pixels. I think you can just pull up the default camera unless you knew of one that you used before. And then if you're doing a book, for instance, we use TurboScan. There's a lot of scanning apps that make it into a PDF file as you go. That's the difference. And TurboScan works great, and it's available for Android or for iOS. So those two. The only other one that I would say, and this is a partner of ours, is PhotoMyne. It's Photo, PhotoMyne. And that one does great group photography or photographs that do auto cropping. And it's the best one that I've found that does auto cropping. Sometimes that cropping, that post-shot edit, can take a little bit of time. And so I'd say your default camera that you're using in your Android phone or TurboScan or PhotoMyne. There's a cost to PhotoMyne, but it does a lot of good things, and they have some really good technology.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. I'm going to check those out too. I've scanned lots of pictures, but I haven't done books. So I'm excited to work on those. And we're just so glad you've been a partner of this experiment. We want everyone to go check out the how-to live we did. We also just published I think we had a how-to video as well. And then don't forget, we mentioned it a little bit earlier, we have a special perk for all of our experimenters. And do you want to explain the perk? What's the perk we're giving everyone in the experiment?
Well, we're going to give away, of course, a Shotbox bundle at the end whenever you guys do. So that's one. The discount, and as well as we are going to be moving this into more of a community. So the price point right now is we're kind of holding to that for this experiment as well. So we're kind of giving everything away, in that bundle. We sort of brought it out. And I guess the one thing I didn't put in there, and I'll kind of throw this, if you're using a DSLR, if you're using a traditional camera, you know how to do that, which is no problem. We actually have a little accessory called the DSLR Donuts that actually can hold that camera on top of the roof of the Shotbox, shoot straight down without you having to hold the camera in place. So, we'll kind of throw that in there. I'm good with that. That's a good perk. And I sort of hadn't thought of that yet, but if you're using that kind of camera, which we do, we have a lot of people just using something other than a smartphone.
Yeah, well, that's exciting. And we're doing the giveaways this Wednesday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. It's our after party. We're wrapping it up, and the Shotbox will be part of it, so that you won't want to miss that. Make sure you RSVP to that. And we just put up the link to our Perks and Partners page. You can go and read all about it, and it's exciting. You won't want to miss the after party. Well, thank you so much for being here with us. We're very excited about the Shotbox, and even more so excited about the opportunity to more easily preserve these memories. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, and everybody will come join us on that after party at 7 p.m. on Wednesday. and we'll send it out here.